Rubye Dunn is a native of Tampa and graduated from Bloomingdale High School. She went on to graduate from the Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University.
Anybody ever heard of that?
And Nova Southeastern University. She worked for school districts in Tampa, Atlanta, Georgia, and Houston, Texas during her nearly 3 decades as an educator. She was an English teacher and assistant principal. Having recently retired, she is currently an educational consultant, contributing writer for Essence Magazine, and a budding entrepreneur. She is the mother of 2 awesome children, Lauren and Cal. Please give her a hand.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
All right. Ooh, let me just say, Joya, you did that for me today.
Yes.
That was for me. Girl. I'm going to take my shoes off, too, because I like to be comfortable. But, Joya, that was for me. You have no idea. I'm going to tell you off the record how much me and you have in common. And how blessed you are. I feel more than I was.
Yeah.
And I was raised in the house with both my parents. All right? So I don't want to cry, so we're moving forward. All right? So thank you so much for inviting me out to speak. This is something, I might start crying, y'all. But if I do, just be like, go, girl. We got this. Because I do that all the time. I get emotional. Because I was like you. My confidence was at 0. And I was like a few years ago old before I really began to own my voice. So to see you doing it at your age is like, I'm looking in the mirror when I look at you. So I'm so proud of you because I would have said no if they asked me to do it if I was your age. I would have said no, thank you. Get somebody else. All right. So anyway, I didn't really know where to go with this because the shining with purpose thing, I'm not, believe it or not, somebody who, or do I like a lot of attention? I don't know. I like to say I don't, but I do sometimes, right? So the word fire came to me. So I just want you all to take this walk with me. I hope that it blesses you because I feel like God gave me this word. It comes kind of from an article that I wrote, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm calling this Into the Fire, right? Time to shine with purpose. There's some fear associated with fire because usually the outcome is the destruction of something. Have you ever seen somebody's skin that's been burned by the painful singe of fire? At the end of the day, now, I'm not talking about somebody who put their hand on the stove or, went across the top of a lighter or something like that. I mean, somebody who's been caught up in a fire. Their skin never looks the same. As much as the cells might try to struggle to form again, they just won't ever be like they were initially. I'm going to cry already. Come on, Lord.
It's okay.
Woo! Okay. Or even if you burn, okay, I got this. Even if you burn like a simple sheet of paper, it will never be that same piece of paper again, right? If it's burned, the ashes won't be that way again. So fire equals destruction, right? So why does burning sound so enticing to me? It was so enticing for me. I wanted to burn in fire, right? The lesson all my life has been, you better live right or you'll be sent to a pit to burn forever. That's what we were told in church, right? And I want you all to know that I want no parts of that fire. But you all, I'm going to tell you a secret. I longed to walk into a fire, but it was his fire. I could see myself with my back straight and my head held high. I have not decided yet, you all, whether my eyes are open or closed when I walk into that fire. I can smell the smoke as I approach it. As I move in closer, the breeze is getting warmer. It's starting to fan the flames, and the flames are beckoning me to walk on in. I can hear the crackling in the fire getting louder and louder, and it's excited because I have arrived finally. I see myself walking slowly and elegantly gliding into it. I can hear God whispering to me, that's it. Go on, pick your chin up. Keep your back straight. That's it. Just like that. I got you, Rubye. And maybe I've already been in the fire. The goal is to incinerate and burn all the experiences I've collected over all these decades I've been on earth, that no longer and probably never did serve me or my purpose. Then I'm going to majestically emerge on the other side of the fire, shining, radiant and beautiful, purified black gold. This desire to burn makes perfect sense of my journey thus far. This chapter I'm in right now, you all in particular. It came out of nowhere, but to be honest with you, it's been there all along. It's been pressed down, it's been covered, and it's been dormant. It's been asleep for a very long time. But I tell you all that I chose the fire and I chose to shine. So, what would lead a woman to choose to walk into a fire? What would entice her to stroll confidently toward the heated breeze and inhale hints of smoke? What has this woman been through? Has she already lived in her own version of hell on earth? So now, in what appears to be a final act against her life traumas, she has decided she's going to consume that fire before it consumes her. I am very, 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 very honored to be here today. Sometimes when people are standing before you or you just see somebody and they're called up to speak, you hear about their awards, how much money they have, what school they went to, how many business they have, what they're up to, all these sorts of things. And you see this person shining bright like a diamond, and you think, dang, I want to be like him, or dog, I wish I could talk like that and be like her. But do you know how gold shines and how diamonds are formed? Under intense heat and intense pressure. So let's lean into that for a minute. Look up diamonds and golds and how they are formed, and you'll see that it says under intense heat and pressure. And we have got to start looking more into that if we want to raise the bar on ourselves. You can have all the goals you want on your vision board. You can write all your stuff down in your journal. But if you are not ready to go through whatever intense heat and pressure God has ordained for your life, you will not get where you really want to go. Because it's not so much sometimes, you all, that you don't know what you want. It's the distractions and things that come along the way to keep you from getting there. And at least that's my story. I think we'll all agree that the world is changing like never before at a dangerous pace. We're witnessing things in our world and experiences globally and even in our own families. And it seems like everybody is affected by this shift on a personal level. Many of us feel like we should be doing more. Who in here feels like there's more that you could be doing with your life in some area? Mm-hmm. For instance, if you're a student in school, you know you need to study more. Amen. You know you need to focus. You know you need to put the phone down a little bit. Even as us adults, we know and children or young people as well, you know, all of us could stand to pray more, I'm sure. And then also, let's not talk about our spending habits. All right. So there are so many of us. Everybody here, I'm sure if we went around the tables could talk about really what is it that I need to do more of. So with so much going on, who has time to really get their life right? We're all doing the best we can. Think about it. And I thought about this. The same sun has been rising and setting since the beginning of time, but it does not seem like we have the same 24 hours our great-grandparents had, right? It seems like, you know, the world was on 1.0, but it's like on 1.50 now. Mm-hmm. So many of us want to hop off that merry-go-round and choose another ride. It's like, this is a bit much. But regardless of all of that, you cannot walk around merely to exist or just survive every day. You know that you're passionate about something. You know you have goals you want to achieve. There still exists in you a pull to move into our true purpose and really shine. Each and every one of us, whether we want to admit it or not, mm-hmm. Whether you're 15 or 85, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. In 2018, I was done. Right? Couldn't take it anymore. Life was whipping my behind, both sides of it, from every angle. And I had had enough. Some aspects of my life were great. I was married to my best friend. My parents and children looked well, and I was really ascending on the, the career ladder. Mm-hmm. I was making more money than I had ever made. Yet, there were significant elements of my life gradually infecting my vitality with a cancerous vengeance. And I want to say that line again, right? There were elements of my life with all that I had going on that were very significant elements that were gradually infecting my vitality with a cancerous vengeance. And I said it twice because I want you all to feel the weight of that. I was kind of like getting sicker and sicker. Not that I was in the bed or the hospital, but I just felt worse and worse. Something was consuming me. hate to admit this, but my marriage had become a very toxic environment in the house. One of my children was, their mental health was spiraling. And to be very honest with you, you heard her say, I spent 3 decades in education. I won't say I hated it, because I did not hate it, right? But it was not what I wanted to be doing, right? It was not fulfilling to me at all. And I just wanted to jump off that ladder I had worked so hard to climb. So one morning I woke up, and it was like in the middle of the night morning, so maybe about 3, and I had a very bad dream. Had to get out the bed, made my way to the bathroom. I was struggling to breathe. I was like, I had never had anything like this happen before. And when I went in the bathroom and cut the light on and I looked in the mirror, I could not stop staring at the mirror, y'all. I had no idea who I was looking at all. Had absolutely was like, I kept like blinking and blinking, because I was like, who is this person? And, I saw the eyes, I saw my nose, I saw my hair, everything, but I didn't know who I was staring at. I did not recognize myself in the mirror. So to be honest, once I reflected on this experience, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, I guess I'm embarrassed. I'm really not. I'm not that easy to embarrass. But most of my life, I saw how I didn't recognize myself, because I had spent most of my years conforming to be whoever I needed to be to gain acceptance for others. Whether it was my parents, my colleagues at work, my so-called friends, folks at church, I had been pretending so long, I literally forgot who I was in a way as I looked in the mirror. I mean, I knew me, but I did not see me at all, if that makes sense, right? I had been pretending too long. So that day I told myself I had enough. Something had to change for good, and I couldn't continue another day. I wanted to break from everybody and everything. So what I didn't anticipate was that break was actually going to break me into several pieces. And y'all, if you break, who in here has broken a body part? It's very painful, right? And I've never broken a bone, but I have, but it's very painful to be broken, psychologically, emotionally, physically. It was painful, and tears flowed. I think I cried every day for 5 months. So as soon as I got up, I would just start crying. Going to the bathroom, brushing my teeth, I was crying. Driving through, ordering coffee, I was crying. Behind the door in my office, I would be walking down the aisle in Publix, break out crying. Everywhere. I was on vacation on the island. I shut behind doors, boohoo crying. The tears wouldn't stop, and I realized I had been covered with scars from lifelong internal battles and bent under the weight of others using their insecurities as a weapon to harm me. But I will stand here today and tell you, not one of those weapons prosper. So I always want to make the point. I tell people now, and I had somebody really drive this point home for me. All of it's really temporary at the end of the day. So we have to remember that not one of those weapons prospered. But in fight, speaking of fire, of all of that, I still smell smoke in the distance. There was a voice continuously nudging me to enter the fire and release it all. It was time. Although I felt rejected and embarrassed and broken, exponentially heartbroken, there were fire alarms going off all around me. I'm getting emotional again. And I could not ignore the sounds. I knew it was time, finally. It was time for me to enter the fire, and it was really, I didn't know at the time, but it was time for me to shine. So part of this shining and finding your purpose really, you all, is contingent upon who's in your circle. Who are your people? I had a friend who I have not seen this friend. She lives in Atlanta. I used to live in Atlanta. I haven't seen her in probably 10 years. And she is one of my best friends. We talk all the time. Thank God for social media. Because I don't have an iPhone. Sorry, y'all. But we talk. It's okay. She said, I love my Samsung. But we talk and we see each other. And like sometimes she'll go live or whatever, on. But she told me one night she had just endured a bad season. And she said to me that her mom had told her during her bad season to read the book of Psalms. Right. So I was like, okay, I know what's in Psalms, but I really didn't. So she told me to start with chapter 1. And I did. I got my Post-it notes because I'm a note taker. And I read it and I, began to feel better. But right before we got off the phone, she said, girl, you need to just choose to be happy. She said, all right, I'll talk to you later. And that stuck with me. It kind of latched on into my spirit. And for as long as I can remember, once she said that, I was like, oh my God, I've been living my life, literally my life, backwards. I wasn't in the driver's seat. I have been educated, like she said, almost 30 years. And I had another embarrassing confession. I had lived my life as a series of reactions. So ever since I was 17, and I'm telling you, not until I wrote this, and I wrote some of this like a year ago because it's built off an article, I did not realize this, but I was managing month to month, year after year, reacting to situations that were happening rather than making things happen the way that I want to. So I was basing whatever happened in my life based on what I thought my parents wanted me to do, what I thought my social group wanted. I really did not live for me. And I did not realize that, y'all, until I was in my 40s. So please don't do that to yourselves, all right? And if you're doing it, stop, okay? Believe it or not, I can recall the day I surrendered my life to not following and living and following the path I wanted to go. And I mean, I remember this like yesterday. I got my acceptance letter. Back in the day, we got letters when you got accepted to college. And I got my letter from FAMU. I was so excited. And it said that I was going to be in the School of Journalism. However, due to critical thoughts living in my head, I was convinced that my God-given desires were ridiculous. How could I be a sportscaster and a writer? How could I be working for CBS? How was I, Rubye, how was she going to do that? How was I going to really be able to shine like I wanted to shine? I was forced by fear to change my major before my freshman year even started. So I want you all to remember, she said 3 decades. So I had a path I wanted to follow. I decided not to follow it, and so I went that way for almost 30 years, right? So I pressed my desires further down in my soul, walked an undesired path, and just made the best of it. And I did not have a horrible life, but I will tell you all, you may think that whatever it is, it doesn't have to be your career goals that you're running from or that you're not addressing. And I'm speaking to children of God, right? He will bring that thing right back in your face every single time, especially if it's what he has for you to be doing. Like he knew I would be here at this time, even though maybe I should have done it 30 years ago. You understand what I'm saying? So I just kept going, making the best of it. So staring in that mirror that night, I had to face my truth. And let me tell you, I had all the boxes checked. I had 2 college degrees. I had met my soulmate and married him. I went to another city and made more money teaching. I joined the church. I was in the choir. I was going to yoga. I was working out, drinking water. All the boxes were checked. But these are great life choices. But I will tell you, with all of that going on, I still felt kind of empty.
Yeah.
I still smelled that smoke in the fragrance in the back, lingering when I laid in bed at night, staring at the ceiling. With all my accomplishments, something still stirred in my spirit, telling me that although I had these successes and happenings, I still had more to do because I was not living an authentic life. It was time for me to shine like gold and walk in my purpose. Yeah. And let me tell you, if you want to shine like gold, you can't make decisions based upon previous experiences or your previous mindset. You can be scared, but you can't let fear control you.
Yeah.
You have to learn to navigate that fear. You must be navigated with unprecedented intention and purpose embedded in almost everything you do. It's like when authenticity collides with your opportunity and the executions of the plans God has called you to. Your daily decisions, such as what you're going to eat, the people that you hang around, what you listen to, it all changes because you're not that same person anymore. And you're always moving in the direction of where you really need to go when you want to shine. And it's not a one-time decision. Some people think, it's kind of like when you walk down to join a church and you give, your hand and you go and join a church. You got to make that choice to walk with God every single day. You make a decision to be a Christian, and it's a daily choice. He gives us daily bread, right? And I've told people so many times, like at this point in my life, whatever he puts on my plate in front of me, I'm eating it all. The crumbs, honey, when the drink is out the cup and the ice melt, I'm drinking the water from the ice, whatever he puts in front of me. Yeah. And I'm figuring it out day by day. So you're going to take multiple leaps and changes that are going to thrust you, but you have to keep your desires and goals in front of you. So more, the Bible says that we should pray without ceasing, and man should always pray. That's true. If you're having the best day of your life, you need to pray. If you're having the worst day of your life, you need to pray. If you are tired, you need to pray. You have to have that direct line with the Lord. It gives you an opportunity, like I said, to connect with him and affirm your steps. I'm probably, like I said earlier, when I was 17, I got my acceptance to college. And I will tell you, when I made that shift, I think I've been making those sorts of poor decisions. And not poor, because I have had a good life, but not authentic, right? So now I almost, and I'm gonna tell you all this, I feel like I'm 17 or 19 again, to be very honest, and I've had a whole career. So there's some truth to that, like you will shine like gold, right? Having been raised a Christian is something I am not afraid to admit to anyone. I'm so glad I refuse to compromise my relationship with God in my darkest seasons.
Amen.
With an emphatic declaration, I determined my life's path had a purpose. The pain of my life had a purpose, and it was going to come to fruition. The pieces that I was broken into did not have to be the same pieces I used to rebuild myself. So God and I spent months examining these broken pieces together, and with his direction and clarity, it really helped me solidify who and what I would keep for the rest of my journey, and who and what I would let go for the rest of my journey. So you all, again, I chose the fire and I chose purpose. I chose to heal and I chose happiness. I chose and will continue to choose to have faith and trust God. And let me tell you, like I said, it's a daily choice. So, there's a verse, I think, or I've heard, and you can help me with this. Is there a verse in the Bible that says like God will give you double for your trouble? Something along those lines. I don't like to misquote the Bible. Yeah. And I keep that in front of me all the time. I have lived 50 years on planet Earth, and I have asked God for 50 more, right? And I hope and continue to pray. I don't even hope, and I do continue to pray, but I know that I refuse to settle in any way, shape, or form with anything. That's one thing I won't sell myself short. And you may say, dang, she doing all this and she 50, dog. She waited a long time. But, in my studying, when God told Abraham that he was going to have a child, 75 or 80 years old, right? Or when Jesus told his mom, Mary and Joseph, they were looking for him and he had to be about his father's business. He was like 12 or 13 or so. So you're never too young and you're never, ever too old to be about your business when it comes to God. Amen. You have to trust the process. So if my light bulb came on at 45, that's when it came on, y'all. But I promise you the next 45 years, I am about to ride the horse till it just passed out. Amen. Right? So when you're scared, and fear stopped me from pursuing journalism at 17, and that was my enemy back then. That was the weapon that the enemy used against me. Like I said, it didn't prosper. And I say this, and I would not have said this some years ago, but look at me now. I would not have done this when I was your age. So you need to continue to know that you're walking in the right path, because I'm telling you, when you were talking, it was like I was listening to myself. Amen. So don't doubt. As much as you can, don't doubt. I want to know now, you all, what are you willing to surrender or release or leave behind? What do you need to give up? What is it that you need to surrender and release? I'm telling you, just release it. You need to stir up the gifts in you. You need to fan into the flames of the gifts of God, because each and every one of us has a gift. And some of our gifts are not to be speaking out loud. You may have a gift for art. You may have a gift for people being able to call you if they're grieving. You may have a gift of just donating money because you got a lot of money, right? Whatever your gift is, lean into it and fan into those flames. And if you are not willing to do that, your own pride and stubbornness, is that how you want God to reflect his blessings upon you, holding and withholding things from you? No, you don't want that. So be patient and be obedient. Obedience shows God that you trust him, and you have to be patient in the process. So I'm going to leave y'all with this. Shining is an inside job, right? So you cannot get a BBL and think you're going to wake up off that table and your body is just going to make you shine. It does not happen like that, no matter who and what you see on Instagram. Lashes, a good extra piece of hair, none of that really makes you shine. It is an inside job. It starts with burning and buffing, tearing and tossing away the unnecessary, and discovering, unlearning, and healing in order to emerge brand new. And I am so deeply enthralled in the healing process, in the unlearning process, in the discovering process, in the discarding the unnecessary. I think I'll be good if I'm 90 and still learning. I'm good on that, right? Because there's an authenticity in how I walk my walk today that I did not see in myself when I was 15, 25, 35. I did not see it. I kind of smelled it, like I said, the smoke was on the fire beckoning me to come and burn all that stuff off. But I just didn't think I could do it, right? So today I tell you, I am shining with purpose. I have emerged a beautiful, radiant black gold. I survived and I am on the other side. So I want to ask you as I leave, are you ready? Are you listening to me and being beckoned to the fire? What desire lingers in your head when you lie in bed at night? And what dream does your heart still yearn to achieve despite all you've been through and the uncertainty in the world today? So, what is keeping you from rising above those things and living authentically? I want to say to you, do not allow fear to stop you. Fear will be there. You have to learn how to navigate it. Doubt will come up. You just have to learn how to navigate it. So don't let it stop you. Go into the fire. It's time to shine. Thank you.